Welcome to our daily reflection for this Friday, August 9th. And remember, every Friday reminds us of Good Friday. So we make a little sacrifice, give up meat, give up a meal, and just think about the great love of Jesus Christ for us dying on the cross. And so we want to sacrifice for others to bring them into the Father's love as Jesus did for us. And today I want to, obviously the first reading from the prophet is about God's justice will come when there's wickedness in the end. And then the psalm is from Deuteronomy 32, which is a song about, again, God promises to bring justice in the end. So we don't have to take vengeance into our own hands. God will do that. And so we leave justice. Ultimately, God will set things to right in the end. But the gospel today goes beyond justice to the love of God, where there is mercy and forgiveness and a love that is beyond what is due. In justice, we get something we don't deserve, and that is God's love and mercy. And so Jesus talks about this at the heart of following him. And he says, whoever would come after me must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. Now notice what following Jesus requires. It requires two key steps. The first is denial of self. If we want to just follow our passions and desires, we won't deny ourselves. We first step in following Jesus Christ is to deny ourselves. We can't serve our appetites, our passions, our desires, and make that the first focus in our life, because then we won't serve others and we won't serve God. So the first thing is denial of self. And then once we're willing to deny ourselves out of love for others and God, then we're willing to take on the cross, right? To even sacrifice. So not only, deny your own, ego, passions, desires, appetites. You got to do that as the baseline. But then, now you're really ready to take on the cross that God gives you and to suffer and sacrifice even outside of that and beyond that. And that's taking up our cross. And then, once we're willing to sacrifice for the sake of love, now we're ready to follow Jesus wherever he will lead us. And so those are the key three steps of discipleship. And then Jesus gives kind of a motive clause here that I think is really powerful. He says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and to lose his soul, right? And to lose his life? What can you give for eternal life and for your soul, right? In other words, you can gain all the goods of this world, all the money and all the land and power and prestige and fame. But if you lose your soul, what does all that gain you? Nothing. And so here we get Jesus' teaching about authentic relativism, because Christians are really the true and first relativists in the world. It is Christians who have a hope of heaven. It's Christians who have a hope that there's life after death and resurrection, and that our bodies have an eternal or have an immortal soul that will have eternal life. And given that spiritual absolute higher goods, we're willing to sacrifice the good of our comfort, the good of money, the good of our bodies, as the martyrs will witness. And so we're the true relativists. We see the goods of this world as relatively good, but they're relatively less in light of the higher good of loving others and of the dignity of the human person that we have to serve and love. And so we'll give up resources to clothe the poor and the naked, and to feed the hungry, and to serve the church and to serve others. And we'll give up our time, and we'll give up, and we'll even suffer for the sake of love of others and the love of God. And so that is authentic relativism. Christians bring about a relativism. So we don't cling to the material goods of this world, so we don't fight and die for worldly possessions like the world does. We lay down our lives and give them for love of God and love of neighbor. That's the radical relativism that leads to true peace. And that is the way of following Jesus Christ. But it begins with denying self, taking up one's cross, and following where God leads. May the Lord bless and keep you in that path.
This daily reflection is brought to you thanks to the generous support of the Mission Circle. Join the Mission Circle to help Catholics worldwide understand, live, and share their faith. Sign up at missioncircle.org today.